Hello there everyone, and welcome back to Shogun 2 Fall of the Samurai. Today we're back with the American Civil War mod. And last time around, quite a few people asked me where do I find this American Civil War mod, and it's quite easy. You go onto the Steam Workshop and you type in North and South and you should be able to find it. It's split into 4 versions, and then you need a 5th part which you download. That is linked within the workshop mod. With that said, today we're taking a look at a map called Virginia Creek. So for this scenario, a Union army is invading into Virginia, and I have a Confederate army that's trying to stop them, and we're going to fight over this area. The AI is going to be surprisingly aggressive in this video, so it's gonna go rather quick. And I think without further ado, let's go and jump straight into the battle, shall we? And so here we are for the battle. We've got the Confederates on the right, we've got the Union on the left, and this is about to go down. As I said, it goes rather quickly, so hopefully we'll be able to get those close-up shots and so forth. The map is, as we can see, pretty straightforward. We've got a forested area around this creek which divides the two armies, which are otherwise fielded on flat open ground on either side. We see Union artillery here opening up as my troops advance, hitting towards the center and then towards my right flank. Being able... This one actually missed, so it didn't kill anyone. I believe that is my artillery ready to respond to the Union bombardment. We have the exact same amount of guns and almost exactly the same kind of army. The Union have a bit more troops. And as I said, the battle was going to go rather quickly, so the Union is already at the creek side, and just now my skirmishers are coming into place. So my defense for this area is going to be divided into 3 lines. First I'm going to have my skirmish line, which is going to go up here, and basically as soon as they're set up they're going to be able to fire upon the Union troops that are trying to cross here. And so the idea is to delay them and stop them and keep them within the very effective range of the artillery. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. What happens here very early on is we can see there's a large contingent of Union troops quickly moving over into the right flank of my skirmishers. So I put 1 skirmish unit here on the tilt, but because there's so many other movements I'm concerned about, I didn't actually notice that these guys were firing this way and not towards the oncoming Union troop that we can see marching straight towards us here. And that's going to cause some problems. Not only that, because, well, the main sort of center of the skirmish line is rather quickly being forced away by Union troops. So the Union AI is playing really aggressive this time around and is quickly forcing my skirmishers to retreat back towards our second line, which is line infantry, 6 units, I believe, of line infantry, which I've lined up here. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to move them into the forest, and I decided it was probably best just to hold them in the position they're currently at, because otherwise moving up it could be rather dangerous, not only for a Union charge and overwhelming the line, but also the micromanagement may fail and the enemy gets the shot off first. So part of the line, as we can see, is a setup within the forest, so that's pretty okay for them, but quite a bit of it is set up out in the open, which is not very good since the Union is gonna hold the forest. And also, since there's only 6 units, and the Union put so many troops on our right side, there was a risk of them being able to flank like they did with my skirmish line. So I had 3 extra units sent in to defend the flank here and stop them. So we got the Maryland Zouaves, which are right here. We've got the Louisiana Tigers, and then just a normal line infantry unit holding on here. I rather quickly discovered that it's actually 2 skirmish units up front, so I'm actually going to move forwards the Zouaves to charge them. One thing that I actually missed during the actual battle was that I was concentrating so much on the enemy flanking me on my right that I missed the fact that the Union was actually flanking me on my left. And so while I am putting most of my efforts trying to hold the right side, my left side is actually being folded up, and the second line is now faltering. And here we go, the Maryland Zouaves charging in towards the... They're so terrified, they're just frozen in place by terror. And rather quickly, as you can see, the Maryland Zouaves are able to absolutely crush these Union skirmishers with their rapid advance and charge into the line. However, I'm not going to have the momentum or really the force to push onwards, because we're pushing into quite a few units and they're backed up by the 14th Brooklyn, I believe they're called. So I decided to pull back the troops instead. And as this wouldn't, even if maybe I would have been able to send all 3, it wouldn't really have worked, because at this point my second line has fallen completely and we're forced back to the last line here at the wooden fence. And we're gonna reform on this side. Don't want to stand all the way up here, because they would be able to focus in quite a lot right here, especially since Union artillery actually blew a hole right here and killed quite a few of the Maryland Zouaves as they were moving forward. And so if I had made it into an L shape in defending the line, not only had the line standing here probably not been able to fire that much, as I'm soon going to discover and have to move these guys out here, then this line would have suffered quite a heavy loss there. So because the Union troops are not trying to flank us anymore, I'm going to be able to move out the Louisiana Tigers and put them into the enemy flank. And also this is a similar situation where I realize these 2 units won't be able to give down effective fire upon the enemy, so I move them out to create a line. So they're not protected by the fence, but they're going to be able to provide more firepower down upon the enemy. Now the main fight is really going to take place over here, where the Union is putting so many men, and they're actually, which I was quite surprised, they're actually firing back at our lines, which the AI usually doesn't do in a lot of battles. I've seen, well, we had the, if you remember from the total Fall of the Samurai, we had that battle where the French completely overwhelmed me. We really have a similar situation here, where I was more or less overwhelmed by the Union response to sort of how the battle progressed and how aggressive they were in pushing forwards here. But I will be able to shore up my defense. So the retreating troops have been rallied, and we can see them marching up here again. And I'm just going to put them on top of the lines that are here, just to shore up the defense here, while the skirmish units are going to move out here and start flanking the enemy. So the thing is, I gave the enemy the same artillery I had, so basically they would be able to fire in my position all the way from spawn, so they wouldn't necessarily have to move the artillery forwards like they usually do, so they could just keep bombarding me. Unfortunately, the AI seem to, even though they're within range, they need to be so close that they can drop the cannonball on top of our heads. And at this point, we can see here in the main line, I mean the fighting is going down all along the line. It looks like it's pretty heavy over here, but this is really the heavy point. And if I hadn't sent forwards these men, we can see it was basically a single line of soldiers going down here defending. And so if I wasn't able to rally these men, send them forwards again to take part in the fight, then we would have very well have lost this last ditch line of defense, and we would have been forced to let the Union Army pass this creek here in Virginia. And as you notice, I don't have a lot of American Civil War themed music, so I decided that I was gonna add on some War of Rights music, mostly because you're not gonna be copyright striked for that, lose revenue, and possibly have to take down the video. And I think this is the point where the Union has had enough. They're going to rally a little bit, or try to, but they've basically had enough at this point. I think there's a unit somewhere around here that's going to rally for a second. There we go. But realizing that there's so many other troops falling back, they decided, you know what, fuck it, we're going to retreat back. And the Union is now in full retreat. So very heavy casualties for the Union side, but also very heavy casualties for my side, or at least I think so, given how far they pushed us back and so forth. So a rather nice battle. A few other questions that were asked in the last one. So it was, what battle was that? And that is the bottleneck battle. I answered quite a few questions, but there was, I think, 5, so there's probably going to be more, because that is a very nice battle. So it's the bottleneck battle. Then there was another question about me. I misspoke about the Union sharpshooters. Let's see, I think I saw them here retreating. Is the guys in green. And the thing is, I am very well aware of the fact that they are called Brendan's sharpshooters. But apparently, according to a comment, I misspoke and said Brandon's sharpshooters. Which, I mean, you could see how you could easily be the slip of the tongue and say Brandon instead of Brendan. Brendan's sharpshooters. So I think most people probably forgave me for that. But here we have it. The Union Army is in full retreat. And hopefully they'll not try to cross into Virginia anytime soon. Hopefully they learned their lesson. With this said, the battle is over. I want to just talk a little bit about... there has been some talk of a Discord server. And basically what I want to set up is special sort of play sessions in which we can gather together on a Discord server and play Total War, so that instead of playing against the AI, which doesn't always end up like this, they're quite often quite dull. The enemy doesn't really offer much of a challenge, so it's a lot better to actually play against a player. Also because you normally, there's a thing where when you play against a player, obviously the player is gonna be better at handling stuff like the artillery, which the AI is terrible at, and is gonna handle the troops a lot better, but at the same time, in some occasions, they're not gonna handle the troops better. So you have a higher chance, I find, to actually do ambushes, be able to do very effective flanks. Usually once the line crumbles, a human player sometimes don't have the ability to really set his troops back in order, or retreat, or and try to fight back once he's broken, and so you can easily get a completely different type of route playing against a player. With that said, I'm not entirely sure where I will set this up, since we've been talking about this for probably the past month. Given that we have the holidays, I think we'll try to set this up for in the new year, so in 2019. Here we have it, close victory. Let's go on and take a look at the statistics and then end this video, shall we? And here we have the outcome of the battle. The entire thing was over in 14 minutes and 14 seconds. I lost about, I was about to say 1/3, but I actually deployed closer to 4,000 men, losing 1,000, while the enemy deployed 5,000 men. So I really thought that I gave the Union a lot more troops than just a 1,000-man advantage, or actually about 1,500 men. I thought maybe closer to 2,000 men and so forth. We can see that the Union lost quite a lot more men, but obviously they would, since they were attacking. The disparity isn't that big, so I thought maybe when I mashed the lines and with the artillery, I might be able to inflict. I probably inflicted quite a lot more friendly fire in this case, about 100 men. And for the Union is a little bit more, about 200 or so men. If we go into the individual units, we can see that we have a volunteer infantry regiment. Don't know where they were placed. They lost a lot of troops, so it's probably the third and final line, because those guys held quite a bit. So one of those lines fell down to the point where they only had 44 men left. But they had killed 2,500. Then the Maryland Zouaves, probably a lot of these kills came from that charge they made. And then Louisiana Tigers, high as well. Sharpshooters, only losing 10 men, inflicting 144 casualties. Pretty good there. Then we have the 1st artillery piece, 86 casualties. Another sharpshooter, 59. And so, let's see what for the enemy. There we go. So their highest is the Brendan's sharpshooters. Lost 21 men, inflicted 92. Then we've got the 14th Brooklyn, which got 72 kills, lost 100 men. Then we've got a few more. We've got, where are the Iron Brigade? I believe the Iron Brigade, I gave them there. The Iron Brigade did very poorly in this battle. They lost almost everyone, down to 31 left, with only being able to inflict 4 casualties. And same with the Zouave unit, Tres Zouaves, lost half the unit, didn't inflict a single casualty. And then we've got the enemy artillery, did not perform too well. 1 kill, 4 kills, 9 kills. And then the 4th artillery piece, 31. So not very good on the Union side, but there we have it. And with this, as I always say, hopefully you guys enjoy this, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye!